I, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear to preserve, protect, and defend
in Dallas,
the
Texas,
Constitution.
3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
Some people fell, but the president, as you saw, was immediately hustled into his limousine, which our camera does not show at the moment. It immediately sped away. We are told that some people in the area were injured, and that seems clear from these pictures which we have just...
6 shots. A country in panic. The head of the government targeted. By whom? And why? This time, the answer lies in the life of John Hinckley Jr. and the unique obsession that thrust him into the role of would-be assassin. Born in Ardmore, Oklahoma, John Hinckley Jr. attends and graduates high school in Dallas County, Texas. In these early years, he doesn't stand out as the kind of person that would eventually contemplate killing a president. But after high school, circumstances take a turn for the worse as Hinckley struggles to get his footing in the adult world. He starts a pattern of attempting to live on his own and failing, time and time again, returning to his parents out of cash. An on-and-off student at Texas Tech University from 1974 to 1980, he begins purchasing weapons and practicing with them, as well as taking antidepressants and tranquilizers. John Hinckley Jr. has a pattern of unstable interpersonal relationships and would eventually be diagnosed with narcissistic and schizoid personality disorders, as well as dysthymia and borderline passive-aggressive features. Still functioning in normal society, John Hinckley sees the film Taxi Driver starring Robert De Niro and Jodie Foster 15 times in theaters. He latches onto the storyline, identifying with the disturbed protagonist in the film who loves the teenage character portrayed by Jodie Foster. Soon, he loses himself in the storyline. Travis Bickle, the main character, plans to assassinate the presidential candidate, and John Hinckley Jr., now incessantly stalking Jodie Foster, brainstorms plans on how to impress her. He contemplates an aircraft hijack, suicide, and assassinating the president. His reasoning? As historical figures, perhaps he and Jodie would, then, be equals. With Jodie Foster at school in Yale University, Hinckley decides to enroll in a writing class at the same alma mater. He finds her dorm and puts poems and messages under her door. Seeing Lee Harvey Oswald as a role model, John Hinckley Jr. begins to collect information from government reports on the JFK assassination and attempts to trail President Jimmy Carter. A little while later, he writes another note to Jodie.
Over the past 7 months, I have left you dozens of poems, letters, and love messages in the faint hope that you could develop interest in me. Although we have talked on the phone a couple of times, I have never had the nerve to simply approach you and introduce myself. The reason I am going ahead with this attempt now is because I cannot wait any longer to impress you.
On March 30th, 1981, Hinckley was passing through Washington, D.C., planning to go to Yale University and kill himself, Jodie Foster, or both of them dramatically. But suddenly, he changed his plan.
On March 30th, 1981, President Reagan was giving a speech to a union group at the Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C.
I heard a noise, and we came out of the hotel and headed for the limousine. And I heard some noise, and I thought it was firecrackers.
John Hinckley Jr. was waiting out there in the group. He was only about 2 people behind the row of people out there. He shot off 6 times. No bullet directly hit the president. There was a police officer who was right in front of him got hit. A young Secret Service agent turned and got hit, and Mr. Brady was shot in the brain. President Reagan, 2 bullets hit the car, and 1 ricocheted off of the back armor of the car, and it went through the little open crack where the back door is open. He was zoomed off. The agents got the limo out.
And then the pain, which now I know came from the bullet hitting that rib, that terrific pain. And I said, Jerry, get off. I think you've broken a rib of mine. And he got off very quickly. And just then I coughed. And I had a handful of bright red, frothy blood. So I said, and I guess that evidently the broken rib has pierced the lung.
We had trained for 4 years, since 1976 to 1980, setting up the trauma system at GW. And everybody was well trained at that point in time. I examined him myself. It was clear that the president had lost a lot of blood. He was brought back to the resuscitation area. This trauma team was there, and they assessed him and treated him accordingly.
John Hinckley Jr. was charged with 13 offenses regarding his actions that took place on March 30th, 1981, and after medical examinations were presented in his trial, he was found not guilty of all charges by reason of insanity. Since his court case, Hinckley has been living at St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Washington. He is not allowed to exit the hospital unsupervised until he no longer poses a threat to himself or others. President Reagan made a quick recovery and was back on the job in no time. Although no president is immune to an assassination attempt, Reagan states, "I know in my heart that man is good, and what is right will always eventually triumph. And there is purpose and worth to each and every life."